Good day, Kabibal, and welcome to our school opening webinar series. For the topic for this afternoon, our discussion will be on practical checklists to find out readiness for the opening of school year 2020-2021. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.theballgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions in the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag #LearnAsOnePH as our official hashtag to our Vival webinars. Experience learning, Kabival. And now to proceed with our webinar this afternoon, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker for today. Our speaker for today is a consultant and evaluator of K-12 Philippine Basic Education Curriculum, and he is also the academic consultants for Sisters of Mary Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brother Roderick.
PRC and Department of Education has required from our teachers and administrators out there to fulfill are, I think, which should be the most important thing to focus on. All right. And then we'll go on to the last question during our discussion would be how could teachers prepare themselves on negotiable and non-negotiable learning conditions? I will provide to you what are those non-negotiable, meaning these are the things that you should do first before others are to be taken care of. Otherwise, if we keep on, if you're not able to identify which of those are non-negotiables and those are negotiables, then we will probably fail in the course of the implementation of the school year because we have to start with the non-negotiable towards the negotiable conditions of learning, teaching, and learning. And then finally, I'll be ready to entertain questions and clarifications of some big concepts that we have entertained throughout the discussion. So if you have questions along the way as I discuss some of the concepts and answer the questions, do not hesitate to key in your questions and clarifications on the comments box below. And then I'll provide, a sort of summary of all that we discussed, and then some challenges that we can take on as teachers facing the inevitable opening of classes for school year 2020 and 2021. I'm pretty sure that some private schools out there already had started, and some have decided to start August 24. But definitely for the public schools, they will be starting their classes on October 5. Let's begin with the introduction and let's identify and bust myths on readiness of teachers. Identified 6 though. I identified common myths about teachers and their readiness and their role in the teaching and learning process that I think are prevalent in the Philippine context, and it's what most people in the Philippines think about teachers. All right. So let us begin with myth number 1. Myth number 1 is teachers complain too often about pay. A lot of people would say that a lot of people who are not from the non-teaching field would say a lot of teachers complain so much about their pay when the government already did something to compensate and to raise their salary, and yet there's still a lot of complaints coming from teachers. I think it's not the salary. I would bust this because I do not believe, as I talk to a lot of teachers, probably started in the profession as something that they thought ideally would provide them financial stability, and some would say that they went to education because that's their dream, to be able to help the students and educate a lot of students in the Philippines. But then again, the question of their complaint is not necessarily the pay. It's just that they're just overworked, both in public and private. So their complaint is not necessarily because of the pay. It is because the effort and time that they devote for preparing for classes, for delivering lessons, and for making reports and delivering reports to the students and to school heads, to the division office, and to the other offices that require those reports are so overwhelming, to the point that a lot of teachers would say, are these efforts and these demands from us equitable to the salary that we receive from the Department of Education, or just receive from the private school, or receive from the government? So the root of the complaint is not the salary itself, but the equitability of the effort they shell out and that they do for the sake of the learning of our students. I think they're not really complaining, it's just they're just saying. I see a difference between complaining and saying, so I'm busting this out. I know the hearts of our teachers in the Philippines. I've talked to them, most of them, and I know that their hearts are pure in their intention to educate their students, even if they think it's more of salary. But I do believe in the recess of their heart, they have this genuine love for helping kids to become better and receive quality education. So I'm busting statement number 1. The let's proceed to statement number 2. Let me arrange the way I said. So let me bust statement number 2. So it says teachers only teach because they can't do anything else. I would say bust this out, because I believe that the saying that teachers teach because they cannot do is not right, because a lot of teachers go into teaching. Excuse me, I have a dog here, and okay. So the teachers only teach because they can't do anything else. I believe the teachers have been thoroughly trained during their in-service training, and by their practice yearly, they practice their teaching, and that they become well engrossed, and their skills improve in the process. And like any other profession, they can do whatever they are teaching their students. All right. Probably they still need more refinement of their skills. I mean, some teachers need more refinement of their skills, or probably they need a catching up to do because we have new technologies and digital technologies available out there. But I do not believe that they can't do. They have a lot of skills, and I do believe there are skills. They just are overworked. All right. Not to mention they have other responsibilities aside from being teachers. They are also people who have responsibilities at home. Next, that we need to bust will be statement number 3. Teachers are responsible for my child's education. A lot of parents would say that that's why I'm sending my children or my child to school so that you take care of them and that you educate them so that they become better individuals, educated and learned individuals. I am busting this out because whether we like it or not, if you look at the number of hours our students uh, spend more time to the different people in society would be with their parents. Hindi mas malaki ang oras na ginubuhol ng mga estudyante natin na kasama ang mga estudyante. In fact, before our children enters formal schooling, they have had enough years, years from their parents. And I believe that the first educators and the enduring educators in the lives of our students would start from their parents. And therefore, if our students enter school with, a little erroneous concepts about things, about ethics, about certain knowledge, certain information, I would say that it came from the family or the community that they were raised from. So teachers are not responsible. They're not the sole They're not the sole responsible for your child's education. They are partners. Okay, let us not give them the sole responsibility. Teachers are partners of parents and the community to help these institutions, the family and the community, mold the minds of our students towards becoming contributing members of society. Hindi agad-agad na naging ganito ang tao, kasalanan ng teacher. Naging ganito ang tao, kasalanan ng school. Wait, bakit? School lang ba may contribution? No. So we are busting out statement number 3. So let's proceed to statement number 4. Nagbas na ako agad. Assign ko muna. Teachers are not like real people. A lot of Filipinos believe that teachers should be teachers all the time, wherever they are and whoever they are with. I believe that we have put teachers in the Philippines at a pedestal that they no longer breathe. Teachers are real people with real needs like anybody else, with real problems and like anybody else, and with bills to pay like anybody else. So just because your kids or our teachers are at school doesn't mean that they are gods or demigods. They are also people. They commit mistakes. They also have hang-ups in life. So we also need to understand the teachers, not just because they're just teachers. It's because they are human beings. So I am busting out myth number 4. All right. And then we have myth number 5. Let me read that. Teachers don't mind grading. Okay. In fact, it's no big deal. A lot of people say, ano ba naman yung mga teacher na nahirapan pag-correct nga lang nan eh, pag-compute lang ng grade, nahirapan pa. It's not an easy task. In fact, of all the responsibilities of teachers, grading and evaluating the learning progress and the results of students' performances in all of their performance tasks, and even during their summative tests, are one of the most difficult tasks that teachers will have to overcome in every school year, every day of their teaching career life. So it is really difficult. So again, we need to understand why some of our teachers are having need more time to compete for your kids' grades and so on and so forth, because our teachers don't want to commit mistakes as far as reporting the progress of your kids' learning progress. is concerned. So I'm busting that out. It is not, they don't mind, they do mind. It is difficult. All right. Finally, statement number 6 that we need to bust out would be good teachers have no trouble keeping a class in line. A lot of people would say that if you're not able to handle the behavior or the learning behavior of your students in the class, then you are not a good teacher. I beg to disagree. There are times that teachers struggle so much, even good teachers or the best teachers struggle at certain point of their teaching career in a school year because the behavior of students are not constant. It changes every now and then. In a span of 1 year, some of the students will have changes of the behavior, and a lot of teachers have been good in managing the students' behavior on the first quarter, would struggle somehow on the second or third or fourth. So there's no clear path as far as classroom management is concerned. It is always a constant adjustment of teachers towards changes of the behavior of our students. Therefore, it is not a single determining factor that if our teachers are able to manage a class, that means they are good teachers. Or if our teachers are not able to manage their classes or their students in a classroom, then our teachers are not good teachers. Non sequitur. So I'm busting that out. Okay. So to answer the question, to answer why we busted out the 6 statements as myths, let's now proceed to our discussion. So I just pre-identified 3 questions for us to understand today. So let's now answer question number 1. What is readiness? Okay. We need to understand the concept of readiness, and I got the definition from most of the dictionaries and some of the Edutopia from a lot of researchers from Columbia University and Stanford University and some universities, and defined readiness as just one concept as readiness is a state of being fully prepared for something, meaning individuals would know that they are ready for something or for a task or for something that they need to do because they have well prepared themselves, not just on things that they need to use, but also mentally and emotionally. I will not discuss the emotional readiness and the mental readiness because I already discussed those. The mental readiness would be the mindset of our teachers towards online and distance education, which I discussed this just this Tuesday. And the emotional readiness, that would be my topic Monday, which was on the perception and positive impression of making a positive impression from our students, of teachers, and teachers making a positive impression on our to our students. So the point here is I will focus more on other factors aside from emotional and mental readiness. All right. So, but the point of this definition of readiness is the state of being. So, as we have discussed in the previous 2 sessions this week, that we have the behavior, our actions. We need to prepare ourselves in actions, and the actions would relate to things that we need. And then emotionally, meaning, are we ready emotionally to? Are we positive towards the new challenges of the new way we're going to deliver our lessons to our students? And then our mindset. Do we have the proper belief system, the proper knowledge for us to be able to traverse over the demands and the conditions of distance education? All right. So I'll focus more of the academic side. Okay, academic side that teachers should be ready on. And if you want to know more about how you need to mentally prepare for the opening of classes, please review my session this Tuesday on the mindset of teachers towards distance education. And if you want to know more about how you can help yourselves or your co-teachers prepare emotionally, you go to my review my topic just this Monday on positive impressions of teachers, making positive impressions of teachers to their students. All right. So these are the things I'll be using the domains that PRC and Department of Education has articulated to all teachers in the Philippines that they should be prepared on. Okay, not just in the opening of classes, but basically during the course of their teacher professional career days. So number one would be content and knowledge pedagogy, meaning our teachers should be prepared about how to teach the subject and the information and the knowledge that comes with the content, and meaning that our teachers should always be updated in terms of changes or new trends in their field of specialization. All right, and be able to integrate that in the new setting, which is online or distance education. Another one would be the learning environment. Our teachers must be able to prepare themselves on the learning environment, especially on the integration of ICT, since a lot of demands from the teachers are required of for them to prepare digitally to deliver online lessons to our students. Therefore, the learning environment has drastically changed from a physical classroom to a virtual classroom. So I think our teachers need to prepare for that. All right, and we're going to discuss that later on. Another one would be diversity of learners. We need to know teachers should have a profile of their students. Otherwise, the way they're going to deliver the lesson, that will be the content, knowledge, and pedagogy, and the way they're going to create the learning environment may not be conducive to the felt needs of the diversity of learners that we're going to receive. More often than not, our teachers are on a trial and error basis of the first quarter to second quarter of their creation of learning plans and their creation of learning environment for the students, because they do not know their students yet. So the first two quarters become more of getting to know each other while the teacher still delivered the lesson. But not knowing that, even if they're delivering the lesson, students are still struggling to adjust to the demands of the subject area. Had the teachers already been given beforehand, before the start of the classes, profile of their students and how they performed in the previous grade levels, would be a good data for our teachers to start with, as far as planning the learning plans and the learning environment are concerned. So the diversity of learners in terms of consideration, it should be data-based. Next would be curriculum and planning. I'm sorry, I think one of the information that should be also included in the student profile for our teachers to consider in their planning would be the literacy profile of our students. Who are among our do I have students who are struggling readers? Do I have students here who are struggling with mathematics? So these are information that teachers should be privy with, so that they can duly and appropriately come up with alternative activities for students with struggling reading skills, or who are struggling with reading, or struggling with writing, struggling with other skills, and struggling with mathematics, which definitely would affect the way they attack the learnings in the subject area. So importante po yung nakapasok din po sana ang literacy profile ng mga bata. I think our students have taken a lot of Phil Erie. I think that should be forwarded to the receiving teachers. All right. Next would be the curriculum plan. These would be the scope and sequence as to what are the standards, the learning competencies to be taught on a certain week, and so on and so forth. I believe this has already been given out to us by Department of Education, by the MELCs, and previously by the K-12 CGs. Only that the way it should be planned is downloaded to the regional office, to the division office, so that they can help the schools and the teachers to contextualize this curriculum plan to the context of the students. Hopefully it was done well, but could probably talk about that, and I'll show you some of my suggestion how it should have been better. How should have been a better way of delivering the curriculum plan to our teachers. Next would be assessment and reporting, and that is one of the areas that our teachers should be ready with. So our teachers have already some templates to just accomplish, and how it should be reported. I believe there are already templates for our teachers to use as far as assessment is concerned, and e-class records are concerned. But I think our teachers need more training and more time uh, on how do we report numeric and descriptive results of our students' learning progress. All right. And then we have number 6, community linkages and professional engagement. I think our teachers are required to attend trainings and all and be involved in the community. And of course, with certificates, all over and above the academic responsibilities, school responsibilities, learning responsibilities, they have also responsibilities on community linkages and professional engagement. Wow, that's too much. And then we have the last one, which is professional growth, personal growth, and professional development, where our teachers will have to retool themselves regarding, philosophies of teaching and by attend philosophies of teaching, pedagogical approaches, and new trends in education. They can do that by attending a lot of trainings. That's why PRC is requiring CPD from our teachers when they renew their license. Although it has been lowered down to just 15, I think just 15 credit units, it still is a huge responsibility for our teachers, knowing that they're still coping with a lot of changes happening in our education system. Right? So here's my takeaway for question number 1, the readiness of our teachers. For our teachers to really be ready for distance education and help them be academically ready for the opening of classes, we need to provide them with support. So I am suggesting our takeaway for question number 1 would be provide teacher support. In the private schools, what we can do is that we can provide perhaps, halimbawa lang po, alam po natin na hindi naman magagamit sa school year na to ang mga desktops, ang mga PCs sa ating computer labs. Why not, instead of financially overcapacitating our teachers with budgeting from their low pay from your school or from the Department of Education or for the government, instead of taking away that percentage from their salary of buying laptops and for connections, why not instead of asking them to buy or giving them money to buy or loaning them money to buy laptops, why not allow them to use the PCs in your school? So instead of them working at home, they can do the online work at school, where anyway, they will be safe because it should have been thoroughly be disinfected, and safety will have to be taken into consideration. But say you don't want your teachers to be working in school because you would like to follow the guidelines given by the interagency, the IATF, so that we do not violate those bayanihan law. I think we could probably allow our teachers to bring the PCs and just be responsible and accountable for its use, and whatever happens to it along the way, they will have to pay for it. But the point is, at least they can have something that they can use at home. All right, just a suggestion though. All right, so these are thoughts we could probably think of. Next would be, I would like to look at our teachers in the Philippines as professional teachers, that we need to help our teachers with a support on their report and follow directives from management. I know that there are a lot of reports that we require from our teachers that should be submitted to the division office, and then the division office will forward that to the regional office and so on and so forth. What I suggest is that during this pandemic, we create a team of non-teaching staff to support our teachers with these reports and these documents, so that our teachers will have more time to focus more on the teaching and the teaching deliveries, be it online or virtual, because they're still on the process of making those materials. And if we still overburden them with these documents that they need to submit, without any support from the non-teaching staff of the school, then it will be too much for them. And I believe that it will contribute to the failure of the distance education in the Philippines. I do not believe that the teachers on their own willingly will not act on to make sure that the delivery of learning online or via distance education will be with quality to the students, but there will be other factors that will interfere on their delivery. And one of those would be the reports and the documents and the reports required of them to be submitted at certain dates, certain dates, certain time, and to be submitted, signed by someone, and so on and so forth. And I think they need support in that. If they needed support in that in the previous school year, all the more they need the support on that now, this coming school year. Next, another thing that we need to provide our teachers with support will be preparing and managing learning of students. Connectivity is one of the many problems right now. There were a lot of questions during my previous webinars about, sir, paano nga kung wala nga talagang connection? Hindi lang ang estudyante, pati ang teacher. What will we do? So, hindi pa ako magsusolve nun. I'm just asking the questions back to our administrator, our school heads, what are we supposed to do with it now? And I said it could be done as a pre-recorded and provide our students with a soft copy so that they can access that instead of doing online. We can do an offline design. So we can come up with an idea that still is distance education, but it doesn't have to be live online, but it could also be offline. Pre-recorded online materials so the students can access this. Sir, wala nga silang digital materials, and then I think we can ask the local government to support the needs of our students to make sure that the distance education is taken care of. These are some of the concerns the teachers are thinking right now, but they do not have the answer to it. And if they're the ones to answer and make solutions to this problem, and there are no support from the school administration, school management, from the division, from the district, from the regional office, and from the local government, then I would say these things will contribute to the failure of distance education. And whether we like it or not, it will take its toll on our teachers. All right. Now, another one that we need to provide our teachers with would be evaluate learning and make reports. One thing that we have not explored yet, we have not discussed thoroughly yet, or if you have not started discussing about for the new, for the online and distance education would be, how is assessment done? What forms of assessment is most appropriate for distance education like online and modular that we somehow mitigate issues on like honesty, mitigate issues on validity and reliability. So these are things that we are going to think about. And how do we support our teachers on this? All right? Kung si teacher po mag-iisip na mga ganito, hirap na yan eh. Pagtuturo pa lang, ubus na yung oras nila. Bibigyan mo pa ng mga reports, bibigyan pa mo ng mga managing of looking for connectivity and appropriateness of materials to be delivered to the students. Tapos meron pang paggawa ng mga assessment reports and so on and so forth. That's too much for our teachers right now. And I think no matter how ready they are mentally and emotionally, because academically and the outside supports are not there for their availability, I think they will crumble down the first quarter of the school year. So I suppose that for evaluate and learning and make reports, let's make do with what has already been done, and then let's find out how we can create parallel assessments from this, and then think of ways how it can be delivered to the students creatively, considering, of course, factors of honesty, integrity, validity, and reliability. We're going to come up with a topic on that probably after next week. So we will have a series of trainings and seminars and webinars on assessment creations, perhaps. Okay, thank you very much. And these are the things, I'm just being honest. These are the things that we did for the Sisters of Mary. We came up with supports to our teachers because I believe, as a consultant, academic consultant for schools, I believe that stressed teachers lead to stressed learning and teaching process. And if the teachers are stressed, automatically it will come out in the teaching process. And of course, one way or the other, whether we like it or not, our students will feel the stress too, and the stress becomes a vicious cycle. And at the end of the day, we keep on blaming our teachers when at the end of the day, we need to be as an administrator, as part of the division office. What technical support and academic support have I provided for my teachers in the field who are actually doing the real action of teaching and learning in the distance education for the school year 2020 and 2021? Just say it. All right. Another takeaway would be is to consider our teachers as individuals too. Hindi lang po sila professional teachers, hindi lang po sila teacher, mga tao din sila na mayroong mga responsibilidad sa mga bahay-bahay nila. All right? I don't understand why some school heads are too unwavering about time of teachers. May mga oras, may mga pamilya po yan. Hindi yan kagaya natin. Kagaya po ako, wala naman ako talagang nuclear family of my own. I just have my brother's family and my dad. But because it's not my primary responsibility is to my profession and to my congregation and to my confraternity. Teachers are not like us, like myself, my situation. Some of them have a lot of kids, they have responsibilities, and on top of that, they have responsibilities to their parents, and they're still alive. So, minsan kasi, nangyayari kasi sa Pilipinas, they become effective teachers, but they are wasted members of their families. So parang nangyari na, bakit ang dami mong naturuan ng mga estudyante na magagaling, pero hindi mo naturuan ng maayos ang anak mo? Di ba ang sakit nun para sa mga teachers, na mga magulang din? Parang sampal yan sa mukha nila. To me, it's being inhumane to our teachers who we're not providing them with avenues and opportunity to strike a balance between their personal life and their professional life. Can just say, sabi ng ibang mga individuals, hoy, 6 hours na nga lang sila nagtuturo, di ba? That's face-to-face interaction. Yan lang kinitingnan ninyo. Hindi nyo alam kung gaano katagal ang oras ng pag-prepare ng materials na deliver. Ang pag-deliver ng 60-minute na lesson, siguro araw ang ginugol ng teacher para mag-research at gawin ang materials na yon. And that was face-to-face. What more, this demand on distance education, it will take more than the preparation of face-to-face. Because there are other considerations the teachers need to take on in making sure that learning online and distance would be effective. And not to mention that they still probably need more orientation and training about the conditions and all other aspects of distance education. It's just that we just, push them immediately into the ocean of a new frontier of learning delivery. Not to mention, they are not just members of their family. They are individuals who need more time for themselves. Kaya nga po, para sa akin kasi ang teacher na walang masyadong oras para sa sarili, they become boring. Why? Because they have no time to help themselves improve. They have no time to make themselves happy. Hindi po natin sinasabi na dahil teacher ka, wala ka ng karapatang magsaya. Hindi pwede. They are individuals who have emotional needs, recreational needs, and they need, kaya nga mga teacher na sabi ko, sana meron man lang palibreng sine man lang para, kagaya po sa mga senior citizen, dito sa Cavite, meron pong, I think buong Pilipinas, may palibreng sine. Sana may palibreng sine sa mga teachers man lang, yung mga licensed teachers man lang, o kaya may proof man lang na nagtutuna teacher talaga siya. Mayroon man lang mga ganun man lang na to somehow make them feel that they are also being taken in consideration as an individual. Okay, I'm just saying, I think the local government right now should realize ang mga frontliners ngayon ay hindi lang po ang mga police. Papasok na ngayon ang maging number 1 ulit na frontliner ang mga teachers. And makakalimutan na naman ng pag-take care ng ating needs ng mga teachers po natin. Sana, I was just hoping. Anyway, I was hoping that we have better politicians. Just, wishful thinking. So we have answered question number one, what is readiness? And the takeaways that we have is that we need to support our teachers in two aspects, as professionals and as individuals. If we, in terms of readiness, I think our teachers are just thinking of being prepared as professional teachers, but have you prepared yourselves as individuals? Have you prepared yourselves as your parents and your family towards what would be the demands of your time towards the new platform of delivering lessons? Kasi baka maubusan ka na naman ng oras para sa mga anak mo and so on so forth. At then pagkatapos kahit nasa bahay ka lang, nakakapagod talaga pa rin. I tell you, I'm working at home, but the bedroom is just adjacent to this room. But after sessions like this, after online meeting, I feel so tired emotionally and mentally because a lot of emotions are at role at play in an online platforms like this, and it's even more demanding than a face-to-face interaction. All right, so let's answer question number two. What areas should teachers prepare well before opening up classes? All right, so let's go back again to the domains of this is from the PPST. That's the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. These are the things that we need to prepare ourselves. But here is my suggestion for the preparation. The things that we need to be prepared of. Hindi po lahat na ito ay kailangan natin prepare. Although these are the things that the PRC and the Department of Education wants us to be prepared all the time. But as far as being able to be ready for this coming school year, there are only things that I need to point out that we should, pay more attention to. So let's just look at the actual situation happening in the Philippine education system. So what happens is that the central office provides the whole Philippines, both public and private, with the national standards and guidelines and policies as far as teaching and learning is concerned. Even administration of teachers, administrations of schools, fund allocation, linkages, and all the ones that we identified, the 7 domains, are all being taken care of by the central office in terms of the rolling out of the national standards and the guidelines and the policies. And I think that's one of the responsibilities. And I think there would be no agency in the government or institutions in the Philippines or in society that would take care of that. I do believe that's a responsibility, one of the core responsibilities of the central office. So they need to roll out policies in terms of personal growth and professional development of teachers. What are the most appropriate trainings to attend? What are the ano mag-credit ng time, and so on and so forth. May mga guidelines po tayo dyan. Next would be para magkaroon ng sistema. All right. Next, we have community linkages and professional engagements. What are the guidelines for that? Next would be assessment and reporting. And meron tayong DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015. We have DepEd Order number used to be 73 series of 12. The DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015. And then the DepEd Order number 21 series of 2019. If my memory, is it 21 or 51? Whichever of the two, on assessment and reporting. And then we have curriculum and planning, kasama po doon sa DepEd Order number 8 hanggang sa DepEd Order number 51 or 21 series of 2019, just recent this last year though. Okay, galing po yan lahat sa Department of Education Central Office in the form of department orders. Okay, and then they are downloaded or articulated to the regional offices, and the regional office would articulate down to the, I'm sorry, my camera is blocking my slides, to the division and district office, and the district office will have to relate down to the school offices, and finally i-relay sa teacher na si teacher lahat ng gagawa. Kung anong mga sinabi ng mga ng central office, at the end of it, si teacher lahat ang gagawa at siya ang kawawa. Pag hindi niya nagawa ang mga reports na to, kawawa siya. Kung hindi naman din siya makapagturo dahil kailangan niyang tapusin ang mga reports, kawawa pa rin siya. So ano na po ang gagawin ng mga teachers natin? What's happening right now with one of the many downside of the K-12 rollout, I'm not saying it's the K-12 program itself, but the rollout, the way we the mistrust. I call it as the mistrust of the rollout, the mistrust of teachers in the process of the rollout of the K to 12 curriculum. It's somehow given our teachers. We have taken a lot of time from our teachers to do more documentation and reports as proof of their teaching, because of again of our mistrust of our teachers. Teaching, perhaps teaching responsibilities or teacher responsibilities, to the point that there would be no more time or less time for taking care of the needs of the students. Naubos po ang oras. We have taken away much time from our teachers to just focus on the teaching and learning process. All right? Ito po nangyari. And I'm not saying that we are not evolving. We are evolving. The Department of Education is evolving the process because we have decentralized it. In fact, most of the trainings are done at the school level, going to the division level, and so on and so forth. But the question is, have we really decentralized the way we come up with certain policies towards in order to help our students? Are we creating policies to actually help our teachers, or this only overburden our teachers? These are the things that we need to look into right now. Since we're talking about readiness of our teachers, let's ask the question. We have required our teachers certain checklists. Nandun po sa checklist po na binadala ng June 12, dintong June po, yung mga negotiable at non-negotiable for the online or distance education. School level, parents, and so on. So nakalagay po yung checklist na yan. I'm not gonna show it to you. Sabihin ko lang po sa inyo later on ang DepEd order na yun. But the question is, would this checklist make our teachers really be prepared for the education, or it will just require too much time and effort for teachers to do a lot of document fulfillment, and then really at the end of being able to submit these documents, they were not able to actually prepare to create the lesson plans for the students, and not to mention prepare themselves emotionally, mentally, and gadget-wise, technologically wise. Yeah, prepare themselves on that area too. So here's what I suggest. To truly help our teachers be ready for the opening of classes, we do not overburden them with all of these things that we want them to be prepared of, to submit all these documents and all. Para sa akin, i-waive muna natin. Yung CPD na yan, i-waive muna natin yan. All right? A lot of teachers are attending a lot of trainings right now. Kaya lang nakalagay po sa CPD requirements is that yung training na yun dapat na-apply sa PRC. Eh, hindi pa nga na-apply. So, ibig sabihin lahat ng mga trainings na natenderan ng mga teachers to be able to prepare themselves for the school year ay hindi magagamit for CPD just because hindi na-apply. Eh, hindi nga na-apply kasi nga hindi pa nagpa-function ang office ng PRC right now because of the closing, the GCQ, lahat ng queues. All right? So hindi agad na-actionan ng PRC ang mga requests for trainings to have CPD. So paano mangyayari ngayon yan? I believe that just because hindi na CPD po yun, hindi yun proof that ang mga teachers are not learning anything. They are learning a lot. And whether we like it or not, they have done a lot of personal preparation for this. And I think these are the things that we need to be lenient of from our teachers. Otherwise, ganyan pa mangyayari sa picture. Kawawa si teacher. I'm sorry, but my mantra in being an administrator and a consultant of schools is to try to lessen teacher stress. If we somehow lessen teacher stress, our teachers will have more time and more effort and more heart and more courage and more confidence of delivering and devoting a lot of time to making sure that there is quality of teaching and learning in their own classrooms. Right. So on that note, here's what I want to take to. This is my suggestion and your takeaway for question number 2. What should our teachers be prepared of this coming school year or the opening of classes? So they need to be prepared on their personal growth and professional development. So that means they should have they've been given trainings on distance education. How to come up with what are the proper ways to do layout, especially for online learning and online teaching. All right. Next would be community linkages and professional engagements. Who are these people or stakeholders or institutions in our society or our community that could help us with. Sorry po, naawa ako sa may mga teachers po na resorted to uh, nagsusolicit sa mga kaibigan nila para lang matulungan sila sa kailangan nilang pera para pambili ng mga reams, ng papers and printers, ink for printers. Hindi ko man sinasabi na dapat hindi nila gawin yan. Okay lang yun. That shows their heart on helping their kids, their students be able to receive the materials they should receive. Kaya lang po nawawala ang kanilang atensyon eh. Dapat sana mayroong isang area o institusyon sa lipunan natin kagaya ng local government na so wag na kayo mag-solicit. Kami na pong bahala dyan maghanap. Kung kailangan mag-solicit sa mga private institutions or sa mga local governments dyan, kami na bahala po dyan. Sige. Tapos alam lang natin kung ano mga budget ninyo. Ganun sana eh. Hindi may mga individual teachers, may mga principal. Pusang oras. Just saying so dapat meron tayo niyan. Next, otherwise, dapat yung part na yan, tinanggal mo na sa trabaho ng teacher. Hindi na dapat nila iniisip yan as part of their readiness checklist. Next, assessment and reporting. Dapat meron nang nagawa ng mga assessment forms. Hindi na si teacher ang gagawa ng mga assessment forms and so on and so forth na saan ko ba ilalagay yan? Nagtuturo pa nga ako, gumagawa pa nga ako ng online materials. Wala man lang grupo, wala man lang mga sets of people. So I'm suggesting, I'm suggesting na magbuo ang division office nang kukuha siya ng mga teachers, the best teachers in the field of a particular subject area, ilalagay ko sa division office, tapos hindi mo sila magtuturo this school year, kasi di sila magtuturo this school year, sila ang gagawa ng mga to. Diba? Tanggalan sila ng mga teaching load. Ang kanilang time for teaching, going for teaching, ito, silang gagawa ng mga assessment forms, ng mga materials to support the teachers going online or doing distance education. Diba? Hindi eh. Ang ginawa ay in-identify pa yung teacher na magsusulat, siya pa magde-demo, wala na eh. Binigay na muna lahat sa teacher tapos magtuturo pa. Huwag naman, bawasan na. Kung siya ang magsusulat, gagawa ng materials, mag-validate, magagawa ng reliability, tanggalin ng pagtuturo. Kasi kung magtuturo pa siya, he or she cannot give ample time to do quality work on both sides of the responsibility assessment and instruction. Right? Next, we have curriculum and planning. Besides that, marami pang planning po na paggawa ng mga modules. Ang modules pa yan, hindi lang yan pang not just the modules for modular instruction or individualist modular instruction. There's another one, the online. So paano yun? Okay, so I suggest the takeaway would be let these 4 areas, that personal growth, community linkages, assessment and report, curriculum plan, be taken away from the teachers and let that be a responsibility of a certain team or a division office or the district office, a team created by these offices temporarily hanggat may pandemic o ganitong ating setup sa education natin to support our teachers who will be doing the online teaching. Okay po. Yan pong ginawa namin sa Sister Mary. Merong yung mga working at home, silang gumagawa ng mga lesson plans. Isang beses lang sila in a week mag-online, mag-live online. Those who are doing face-to-face, nasa school sila and so on and so forth. So let's come up with a more creative way. Hindi dapat lahat ng tuturo. Hindi naman pwede. Hindi kaya natin. Hindi kakayanan ng individual teachers. Alright? So that if we provide the personal growth, community linkages, assessment support, and curriculum planning as support to the teachers already done by a team, our teachers now will be able to focus on making themselves ready. Okay? Yon, may puso na sila. They are emotionally and mentally ready. Okay? To pay more attention to their learners, to the diverse needs of learners that they're still struggling how they're going to monitor and to reach out to them via online or distance education. Doon pa lang, ang laki ng problema ng teacher. So, tanggalan natin ang ibang responsibilidad na kanilang inisip. Another one would be, so if they will now be able to pay more attention to creating more conducive learning environment via online or individualized modular instruction for our students. Why? Kasi ito na lang responsibilidad muna for the school year. Sir, kasi gagawa pa sila ng report, eh dapat sana merong kasama sa team ng paggawa ng mga reports. Okay? Yan pong ginawa sa New Zealand. Sa New Zealand, they have this whole team creating the curriculum and modules. And then the teachers are allowed, kung kunwari may mga modules silang pinagamit sa mga, they call it as curriculum in a pocket. Okay? So hawak-hawak nila po yun, tapos nandun na po ang tutur nila, anong module, anong page, and so on and so forth. But the teachers are allowed to make certain modifications depending on the needs of the diverse needs of the learners and the learning environment. Only that, pag may binago sila doon sa mode of delivery, sa curriculum ng binigay sa kanila ng team, nagawa din sila ng team, may note nakalagay doon sa side ng kanilang curriculum what modifications teachers did to deliver this at ano ang conditions bakit siya nagbago. Alright? So, magandang ginawa ng New Zealand dahil the classroom teachers are now able to focus more on delivering the curriculum that has been planned by a team, an assessment done by a team, but they are still allowed to make certain modifications of deliveries kasi nga silang nakakaalam ng mga estudyante nila. So kung may mga modifications, isusulat lang nila kung anong ginawa nilang modification, tapos anong replacement na activity na yun, provided that it's still satisfy the identified or target learning outcomes. The point is, nabawasan na ng planning si teacher. Nakafocus siya ngayon on adjusting to the needs, adjusting the curriculum, adjusting the modules to the needs of the learners and the demands of the learning environment and the demand of the content pedagogy. Hindi pa nga, wala pa si teacher doon. Hindi pa siya nag-iisip ngayon kung paano siya mag-adjust. Nandito pa siya sa paggawa ng curriculum plan, paggawa ng lesson plan, paggawa ng module, paggawa ng assessment forms, nandun pa lang siya. Wala pa siya doon sa iniisip niya. Dapat nandun si teacher sa tatlong areas na yon. How the teacher can modify the learning plans, assessment forms to the needs of our learners, contextualization, and then modification to the learning environment, and then of course what the technology would best deliver the content knowledge and what pedagogical modification will be done with the integration of certain technologies. Nagkaroon na po ako ng discussion on content knowledge and pedagogy and the learning environment, how we can, what are the basis for selecting appropriate technology. That was a week ago. Practical ways how to enhance learning of students in distance education or online education. So you may want to go back to that. Okay, so that's our takeaway for number 1 for question number 2. So takeaway number 2, here's my suggestion again. So teaching, ang suggestion ko po ay gayahin po natin yung ginagawa sa New Zealand, ginagawa sa Singapore, na ang ginawa nila ay sa gitna ng kanilang pagpaplano, ang una nilang ginagawa ay grassroots. They collect ample, sufficient data of teaching and learning conditions of teachers and students in the field. Hindi yung nag-iisip tayo ng mga polisiya na sa tingin natin, bahala sa field mag-adjust, or naghanap tayo ng mga sitwasyon lang, pero and then we generalize that these are all the conditions of learning and teaching conditions all over the Philippines. Iba-iba po ang kondisyon. May mga kondisyon po ang mga teacher ay ilang bundok at dagat. Mayroon namang dagat, o ilog ang sinusuong. Meron ba tayong mga conditions na ganun? Others would say, sir, ano po yun? Special conditions. Nonetheless, we should consider that in the planning. Dahil kung hindi natin consider yun, kawawa si teacher. At pag kawawa si teacher, kawawa ang mga estudyante. Right? So these are the things that we need to consider. Let's gather and collect ample data from the field. Yan po ang ginawa ko sa Sister Samer before I designed the curriculum or suggested an appropriate design for the curriculum of the Sister Samer. I requested the sisters to allow me to be immersed in the school program of the 4 campuses. Inobserve ko mga teachers, nag-observe ako sa study time ng mga estudyante, and so on and so forth, for me to know exactly what are the needs of the teachers and the students to make quality learning happen. Meron ba tayong team? Sir, trabaho po yan ng mga EPS sa division. Ginagawa ba yun? Sa nag-observe po sila, is that to get data of the needs of the teachers or to evaluate the teachers? Baka iba naman po ang ating perspektibo ng pag-observe sa class. It must be two process. It is also to evaluate our students, but also to look at the needs of teachers and students to have a quality interaction between the teaching and the learning process. Eh kung ang tingin lang po natin is evaluation, then mali nga naman ang ating educational rollout. So, on that note, so needs analysis dapat ang ginawa ng school. Ano mga pangangailangan? Ngayon na, para matulungan ang readiness ng teachers, ito yung suggestion ko po. Needs analysis po ng school. Ano mga pangangailangan ng mga teacher? Oh, kailangan ng computer and so on and so forth. Alright, so yan ang ating gagawin. Yan ang paplanuhin natin ng buong school. Hindi yan, oh, teacher ha, mag-submit kayo ng plano nyo. Ano? Yung isang teacher, isang school? Siya ba ang school? Alright. Di pa ako galit, sorry. Ramdam ko lang po talaga ang nangyayari na dapat ang design natin for this school year would be kung ang teacher dati ay nasa ibaba, sumusunod sa mga direktibo sa taas. Dapat ngayon dahil sa distance education pagbabago, binaliktad natin ang disenyo. Inuna natin ang pangangailangan ng teacher at estudyante. All the rest ng mga offices in the government support that. Now, with that design, we could ensure the readiness of our teachers. Ngayon, kahit sabihin nyo po na, Sir, iusod pa natin ng October 5. Sir, iusad pa natin po hanggang December. Wala pong, I will tell you that our teachers will not be ready for this kind of education kung hindi natin tutulungan sila talaga. So on that note, needs analysis po, the school should do a needs analysis of the needs of our teachers in all aspects. Physical materials needed, also what we call as connectivity needs, and so on and so forth. So, para masuportahan ang teacher and learning interaction. Then the school office should articulate these needs, the division office and the district office, para masuportahan din ng division district office dahil hindi kakayanan ng school lang yan. Kailangan ng support ng division and district to support the teachers and also to support the school offices. All right? Now, next, the division district office in its bureaucratic format should also articulate those needs analysis from the field or grassroots to the regional office so that the regional office could probably come up with videos kasi pwede naman ang regional office kasi mas malaki ang budget po nila or mas marami silang access to consultants. Sila na po ang magkano ng mga consultant. Okay, ma'am, pwede po ba kayong gumawa ng mga videos, ng mga lectures ng ganitong topic tapos ibaban? Pwede naman po sana nagawa yun eh. Willing naman po ang mga professors sa colleges. I hope I'm willing to do that. Yan. To provide, yung record videos tapos yung ipapadala sa baba para ipapa-embed na lang sa mga teachers. I think the regional office and the division office have more access to content experts, okay, than the classroom teachers, okay? So that once the regional office know about this felt needs or the needs analysis from the grassroots, they can now come up with support to the needs of the school and the needs of the district. And then finally, bureaucratically, the regional office should articulate it to the central office so that the central office can come up with, policies and guidelines for the curriculum planning that should have curriculum planning, assessment reporting, community linkages and professional engagement, personal growth and professional development to support the teacher and student learning, the quality of which, and also to support the offices that support the teachers, school offices, division, architect. Just imagine if these three huge offices, the school, division, regional office, and central office are all in one, in supporting, in thinking of how they can support, help the teachers and the students right now in the new platform of teaching, instead of requiring them of many documentation and preparation na puro lang tayo sulat ng mga requirements, pero ano bang gagawin nila? Asan ba ang modules? Na sana, nandun na sa kanila ngayon. I'm just saying, it's just that our design of the I know that the BESRA, basic sector BESRA, basic education sector reform agenda, and under that we have SBM, the school-based management, has already decentralized provisions of decentralizing management of learning and teaching and all other aspects of the education aspects of education um, to the field. Pero the way we manage our offices are still the same. Kagaya pa rin po ng dati. Kayo pa rin ang nasusunod. Hindi yung teacher at ang mga estudyante ang nasusunod. Baliktad po. Ano ba talaga ang mga office ito? Para saan pa talaga mga office ito? Para kayo po ay mag-report lang. I agree, yeah, should report. But the report should be, was the program we provided for the teachers and students successful? Programang binigay. Anong programang inisip natin para makatulong? Okay, anong mga ni-require? Baliktad din, nangyari, ano ba ang mga pina-require natin sa teachers? Si teacher na ang gumawa ng lahat. Yun pang ibaba sa taas. Teachers are not ready. All right. So that should be our takeaway for two takeaways for my question number 2. What should? So ulitin po natin, dapat si teacher nakafocus lang talaga sa teaching and learning process right now. All others must be provided as support by the school, by the division, by the regional office, and the central office. Ano po yung mga yon? Ito po yung curriculum plan, assessment, community linkages, personal growth. Kayo po dapat magawa nun. Kayong apat na offices. Alright? So, let's now have the last question. I'm sorry, the takeaways are all my personal analysis of what's happening right now and how I see should be done. And sasabihin nyo, sir, ginawa nyo ba yun? Yes, that's the design that we did for the Sister Samara, and it's working. And we're not saying it's 100% okay, but remember, it's a journey towards refinement. So every now and then we're refining. But the point is we are alleviating some of the responsibilities of the teachers so they can focus more on the teaching. Okay, so the last question would be, how could teachers prepare themselves on negotiable and non-negotiable learning conditions? All right, so let's now identify what are those non-negotiable conditions. The non-negotiable conditions are, of course, the curriculum and planning and assessment and reporting. Those are non-negotiable. Nothing can happen if the curriculum plan and assessment designs are not are not taken care of first and foremost. That's why the central office already downloaded to the field the curriculum designs through the MECs, okay? The MECs, susunin po natin. And then the assessment report will still be using the DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015 and DepEd Order 21 series of that was the DepEd Order 21 or 51 series of 2019. I've forgotten which of the two numbers. So check nyo na lang po. So yan po ang nakalagay doon. So ang mga teachers now, because of that, taken care of, are now focusing more on students and the learning environment and the content pedagogical approach. So here are the things the teacher should prepare. So ang ating non-negotiable po ay yung binigay ng DepEd. Hindi pwedeng meron tayong skip sa curriculum, hindi pwedeng hindi natin sinusunod ang DepEd orders. No, those are non-negotiable. What are things that should be prepared, that teacher should prepare that somehow along the way it's negotiable? Nababago po kahit paano kasi depende sa responses ng mga estudyante. So, provided that the non-negotiables have been given as support to our teachers, the curriculum planning, the modules, all the materials, the assessment and report systems via online or be it via modular approach or print approach, ibig sabihin, binigay na po ng mga office para sa teachers. Hindi na pinoproblema. So, ito po ay non-negotiable. Okay? The teachers now can, from the non-negotiable, be able to prepare for the negotiable elements to prepare. One would be the modules. The modules, I believe, should be prepared, especially for the pandemic right now, gradually, like quarter 1. Tapos from the quarter 1, we will look at whether it was effective or not. Wag nating require ang mga teachers to finish all the modules for the whole school year. Because hindi pa natin alam kung ano ang magiging epekto, anong reception ng mga estudyante sa ating ginawang mga modules. Baka ayaw nila ng pictures, baka ayaw nila ng layout sa ating print module, or baka ayaw nila ng ating graphics sa ating online, or ayaw ng mga bata sa boses. So we need to know during the first quarter, non-negotiable po negotiable muna po yung mga delivery modes at saka the materials because we do not know how it will be received by our students. On that note, dapat meron pong team na bubuuin ang division office to monitor getting feedback from the end users of these materials. Okay? So ano po dapat ang titingnan end users ang mga estudyante po natin. And then finally, and then our teachers would come up with what are the appropriate online platforms that could support our students learning of the prepared learning materials. The question is, it should support, not should be a replacement of. Kasi there are situations where in communities where there's no, a way and means for students to go online. Kung ganun pong gagawin po, kawawa po yung mga magulang kasi binigyan po natin ng mga magulang ng dagdag na problema, pambili ng computer, pambayad ng na-imagine ko ang isang magulang na ang problema niya ay ang araw-araw na problema niya ay ang pagkain ng mga anak niya at ng pamilya nila. Tapos dadagdagan natin ng online. I could just feel the pressure on the families. Not just the pressure on families, pressure sa estudyante. Ang tanong ng mga bata, wala na, hindi ako makapag-aral kasi wala man akong computer. Hindi ako makapag-guide sa computer. Hindi ako wala akong pambayad para sa online. Okay? And so, ang tingin lang dapat natin sa online teaching as enhancing learning. If it does not support the availability of these technologies in the community and the homes of our students, then the online teaching should not be made available for our students. It should not be an option. Pero sabi ko nga sa inyo, nanggaling na po yan sa felt needs. Paano nga kung hindi tayo nag-felt needs They-require natin ng buong Pilipinas na mag-online, mag-distance education, tapos combination pa ng online at saka modular. Wow. Yumaman tuloy yung mga nagbibenta ng mga computers. The problem was, because of online teaching being mandated to hold all the Philippines. Mabuti nga't our secretary later on said that we will have more digital, more modular approach, a modular print approach to distance education. Kasi kung dati ay may combination of modular at online, we have required the use of Wi-Fi and connectivity and laptops and digital technologies. We made them a necessity when it should not have been, when it's not necessity for most poor families in the Philippines. Hindi nga lang poor families in the Philippines, but poor teachers as well. Okay? Other supports like the television, the audio, the radio. Again, sino po ang gagawa nun? Halimbawa, sir, yung radio po namin, local radio po namin din sa Bicol, tutulong po siya. Si teacher po ba, din ba ang gagawa ng mga script? Si teacher din po ba ang gagawa ng mga, parang sobra na po yata. Baka pwede po maggawa ng team ang division office o kaya district office na magkuha ng mga teachers in the field ng mga galing, chosen lang po. Tapos sila po ang tututok sa ganitong design. Ako kasi ganito gagawin ko talaga. Kung patunayin. Okay, si teacher ang gumawa ng mga lesson plans ng modules po na yan. Pero another team will do the online, making up the online to support the teachers. Then another team will create the connectivities, the media support like sa radio, local radio, television para gawa ng mga script and so forth to enhance learning. Hindi si teacher lahat ang gagawa na yan. Otherwise, our teachers will never be ready. Alright? Okay. So on that note, I'm ending my session. So I'm ending my week session with a lot of my personal emotional baggage towards the design that we have employed and addressed. No face-to-face interaction in the teaching and learning process. There are many ways to resolve it and not aggravate the conditions of our teachers. May mga ALS na materials po tayo . At hindi na lang ginamit muna . Okay, so Mitch, I'm emotional right now, so I'm now ready to answer questions from our field. Oh, it's already 3:15, my watch. So I only have 15 minutes left. Yes, Mitch,
Yes. Yes,
what do
so
you like?
Brother Ricky, a lot were able to relate in your sharing for this afternoon. And I have here a few questions coming from our viewers. The first question po is from Miss Francesca Gutierrez. Good afternoon po, Brother Ricky. Would a teacher be really ready with a practical checklist, emotionally, physically, socially, financially? Thank you for answering my question.
It will take a lot of time for our teachers to be quite ready for a distance education. It's just that we are now being forced to adjust to the new platform and a new way to deliver our goods to our students because of the pandemic. Had it been no pandemic at all, we could probably come up with a more gradual way of doing that. But it doesn't mean that we're going to uh, put all these responsibilities on the shoulders of our teachers. I believe that uh, someone should spearhead the communication of all stakeholders like the local government, the private business institutions present in the community. Pagsamasamahin lahat to para makatulong sa mga teachers. Pero walang nag-spearhead po eh. Ang nakikita ko ngayon sa, I'm sorry, here in Cavite lang ha, sa Cavite lang nakikita ko lang na some of the, especially for the public school teachers, some private schools pa na-adjust po sila siguro, most of them. But in the public school teachers where a lot of responsibilities are on the shoulders of our teachers, financially, emotionally, mentally, I believe that the school heads, the division office, especially the EPS, should do something about, and the division superintendent. Kaya lang, sa Pilipinas, nagbago tayo, nag-reshuffling eh. So lahat ng ating mga AP, ASDS, SDS ay adjusting kasi bago sila sa mga division offices kasi nag-reshuffling po tayo eh. Sabagay, di naman natin alam ng mga pandemic, but the point is everyone is on the adjustment mode. So sana po meron pong talagang mag-spearhead na patulungan ng teachers na alam po natin na ito ang mga pangangailangan ng mga teachers po natin. Ano man lang kausapin natin ang mga governor na gawa ng paraan na kung wala mang connectivity, kagaya po dito sa Cavite, sabi ni governor, gagawan daw niya ng pagtaas ng magkaroon ng connectivity. Wi-Fi connectivity? What about the others? Pero just imagine that, the connectivity kung sabay-sabay po mga estudyante, sabay-sabay ang mga teachers, would that be enough? I think not. So dapat online is only one of those platforms. In short, we could have prepared our teachers with a lot of prepare our teachers by just allowing them to focus on the delivery. Train muna natin sila while other teachers, identified teachers, have been trained to create the online materials, and another set of teachers in division or district level have been trained to create the modules, and another set of teachers have been trained to create assessment tools. Yung pong ginawa namin sa Sisters of Mary, may mga kinuha kami mga teachers sa field sa Cebu, sa Cavite. The best teachers have been trained na sila lang po ang gagawa ng mga training. Para klaro, pag gumawa ng assessment, automatic tinitingnan ng validity at reliability. Sila na rin nag-yield ng results tapos sa mga feedback pinapadala sa field para ang mga teachers nakafocus talaga to ready themselves on the basic responsibility to take care of the needs of the learners. So to summarize my answer on that, our teachers, with this kind of the design that we're using for the rollout of the new platform of education for the pandemic in the school year 2020, our teachers will not be ready. Some will, but others will falter and will struggle so much to the point that it will hinder them in delivering quality education to our students. Kasi may monitoring pa tayong pinag-uusapan dyan. Mahirap pa yun. So I hope that the school heads, the division office are thinking beyond the classroom situation, where they should also go beyond things like connectivity, digital materials needed, not to mention copyright. Kasi mga teachers kailangan protected sila sa copyright. Meron pang ginanon na sana nakipag-usap sana ang regional office o kaya ang central office na kinausap ng mga publishing houses na patulong sana sa publishing houses na sana ang copyright magawa ng paraan. Kawawa mga teachers kasi baka silang kasuhan kasi one of the many problems with online and distance education is copyright infringement. Sorry, but that's my honest answer to the question.
Thank you po, Brother Ricky. Next question po is from Miss Zenaida Bacongalio. Pagtatanong lang po, pag hindi kami nakasulat ng lesson plans dahil may milk naman, are we punishable? Thank you po.
Depende po sa inyong kung ano ang binaba po sa inyo ng na responsibility ng inyong division office. If the division office have already downloaded to the schools that the responsibility of making lesson plans, individual lesson plans, are to be done by individual teachers and not collective efforts of teachers, then you will be punishable for that. Depende po kasi yan sa initiative ng division. There are some division offices, ang ginawa po nila ay they identified teachers. Let's say mathematics po for grade 7, they identified few best grade 7 teachers on mathematics to come together to write the lesson plans of the modules and exemplars. And then yun din po papagamit sa ibang teachers. So mga teachers will be given an orientation how to use the materials. Again, there's no clear design how the division offices will do the rollout. So kayo pong nakakalam kung paano po binigay sa inyo ang mga guidelines na yun. Thank you.
Okay po, for our last question is from Ma'am Pasita de Jesus. Is classroom teacher observation still needed in online teaching?
Yan nga pong sinasabi ko. Yung kasama, ang observation po is kasama sa monitoring sa sinasabi ko. Paano nga gagawin yun? Baka naman si teacher din ang magbuproblema nun. Sana nagawa, dahil nga na iba ang platforms, the platform of delivering the lesson, mababago din ang platform ng pag-deliver ng mga assessment tools and monitoring and evaluation tools and reporting. So on that note, hirap na nga si teacher sa pag-isip kung paano niya kagawa ng lesson plans at paano niya i-deliver in distance education mode ang kanyang plinano. Tapos andito pa paano pa ang pag-monitor ng learning. Sino mag-evaluate? Will they be evaluated on the classroom observation tool using the face-to-face o may bagong evaluation tool? Sana napadala po sa atin yun na mas maaga para nakita po natin. Kung wala naman po, may perspective po sana, iwi muna natin yun. Iwi muna natin yun. Magkaroon po tayo siguro ng simple evaluation from students instead of, the evaluators are coming from our school heads. I think the best evaluation of our delivery, of our learning delivery would be from our students. So the question is again is, meron ba tayong tool on that? Kung may tool ba, orient ba ang ating teachers na bigyan po tayo para kasama po kasi yun ng evaluation and monitoring tool po. Kasama yan sa mindset ng mga teachers, dapat they should prepare themselves. Ay, kailangan pala ganito na pag nag-deliver ako online, may prayer, may ganito, may ganyan, and so on. So I have to call my attendance calling. Ano ba yun? Have we just digitized the face-to-face interaction, or there are things that have been waived for the sake of lack of connectivity or some of the conditions? We have forgone some of the entries in the classroom observation evaluation tool. That I cannot answer po kasi wala pa po tayong feedback from our officials who are in charge of that. Pero para sa akin kasi dapat i-modify po yun and should be given in advance to the teachers kasi that should be one of